Greetings, everyone. My name is Nicolette Hemingway, and I am the owner and operator of NICH Speaks, LLC, and we're a career counseling services business located here in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. I am a retired military officer with over 20 years of experience being on interview panels at the city, county, state, and federal government levels. I am a transformational speaker that mobilizes her audience to take charge of their lives, their careers, and their mindsets. NICH Speaks conducts interview skills workshops for adults, high school, and college students. In these workshops, we discuss such topics as proper handshake, attire, sitting correctly, and answering common interview questions. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you are a nonprofit CEO and your organization has a job readiness program, then I encourage you to grab a pen and paper as I share with you 5 secrets to nail that job. So, secret number 1, look the part. You want to make sure your attire is clean, neat, and stain-free. Do not wear any flashy or dangling earrings. And gentlemen, take yours out. As I like to say, pretty girls wear pearls. Pearls are always appropriate for an interview. It gives you a classy and elegant look, and you can't go wrong wearing pearls. Also, make sure your shoes are in good condition. That means no holes, no scuff marks, or tattered shoelaces. Also, make sure your hair is neatly groomed. And gentlemen, make sure your beards and mustaches are neatly trimmed. Ladies, make sure you wear a neutral nail color. And also make sure your nails are not overly long. As you can see, my nail color isn't exactly neutral, but the length of my nails are appropriate for an interview. And gentlemen, make sure your nails are clean and evenly filed. In terms of makeup, ladies, make sure you have a natural look and you are not wearing bold or glittery colors. And make sure you're not doing the little wing on the side of your eye, because that is distracting. Again, you want interviewers to concentrate on your experience and skills and not be distracted by your appearance. Of course, you can wear this power suit that makes a statement, but make sure your power suit is in a color such as black, navy blue, or brown. You can accessorize with a tie or a blouse, ladies, wearing red, which symbolizes power. Blue symbolizes strength. Green, it symbolizes growth. And brown, it symbolizes the earth or give you a need to eat chocolate, because everyone loves chocolate. So those are good standard colors to wear for an interview. And so you want to make sure that you present a polished and well-groomed appearance that is professional. Several years ago, I was living in Phoenix and I interviewed with a healthcare company. I was dressed very nicely in an expensive suit, and my interviewer was wearing an oversized t-shirt, leggings, and thong sandals. She commented on how well I looked and that I should be doing her job. Needless to say, I did not get that job, but I was dressed professionally for the interview. And my husband, who works in the highway construction industry, he had an interview several years ago in Washington, D.C., where he wore a dress shirt with a tie, slacks, and dress shoes. The owner of the company was so impressed by my husband's appearance that he hired him on the spot. So, regardless of what industry you work in, whether it's outside, it's labor intensive, you get dirty. When you go to an interview, you need to present a professional appearance. So, secret number 2, talk the part. This is where you make sure you do your research on your organization that you're interviewing with. And this includes researching the job duties of the position you're interviewing for. You want to make sure that you know your answers to common interview questions. And depending on the industry, those questions can be behavioral, situational, or technical in nature. And this is why I got into the business of what I do. I was in college in my senior year, and I had an interview with the local bank. And being a senior, you know, you are cocky, you think you're going to get out and change the world, you think you're going to go out and solve all the problems, fix everything that's broken in your industry. You're just full of yourself. Well, a few days later, the interviewer, she called me back to tell me that I did not get the job. She also told me that I was dressed appropriately, but I struggled to answer some of the common interview questions. So of course, I ended up with a second interview, third interview, fourth interview, even fifth interview, still no job. And I was like, Nike, what are you doing? You know, what's going on? And so I thought back to what the interviewer said at the bank interview, that I struggled to answer some of the common interview questions. So I started going to the library, researching books on interviewing techniques and resume writing skills. And no, the World Wide Web was not in place when I was in college. So I had to go old school and go to the library and do this research. And so I researched information on interview tips, resume writing tips. And so by the time I got out of grad school 3 years later, I was confident in my interviewing skills because I polished up my resume where it would stand out from the crowd. And then when I got into the interview, I was able to answer those common interview questions with confidence. So you can do that also. And when it comes to answering common interview questions, you may hear a question that starts something like this: how would you? In this case, they want to see how you behave. And so this is a behavioral question. And you can start your answer with something like this: one of the things I would consider doing is. So this is showing the interviewers that you're not stuck on one way of doing things and you're open to other options. You may get another question that starts like this: how would you handle the situation where? So of course, here they're looking at how you would respond in a situation. And so this is a situational question. And so you can start your answer with something like this: one of the things I would consider doing would be. That way, the interviewers again see that your way is not the only way, and you're open to doing other things to resolve the issue. And so the last question you may hear in an interview may go something like this: would you mind rating yourself on a scale of 0 to 10, where 0 is the lowest and 10 is the highest on your computer skills? Now be honest in rating yourself. And so you can start your answer with something like this: I would rate myself on an 8 on Microsoft Office because I have taken advanced courses in Microsoft Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. And you will typically know the question is technical in nature if they ask about skills, problem solving, or using good judgment. I can't stress this enough. You always, always, always ask at least 2 questions of the interviewers. And one question you could ask could be, what skills did you value in the person who held this position previously? So this will give you the chance to let the interviewers tell you what skills they're looking for. And then you can restate those skills in your thank you email or note. And the second question you could ask could be, what is your leadership style? This will give you a chance to find out if that person is a micromanager, which is a motivational style, a coach, which is a motivational style, micromanager, which is an authoritative style, and a hands-off person, which is a delegate to other leadership style. So based on these two questions, you can get a good idea of whether you're a good fit with your personality and skills for this organization. I recall when I took a position within the federal government where everyone was so nice and polite during the interview. But on my first day of work, my colleagues were telling me they weren't going to train me, they weren't going to help me, they weren't going to give me any data, etc. You talking about blown away, I was. I didn't realize that I walked into a conflict between my colleagues and supervisor. And I was a casualty of that conflict. They were in a power struggle, and I just happened to be in the middle and, ended up being a casualty big time. And it took me a year to transfer out of that department into another. So yes, you can ask all the right questions, which I did, like the previous questions I talked about, and I asked a couple more. And so they answered all my questions fine. And I felt, okay, this is a good fit. But once I got in, I realized, no, this is not the position for me. So if that does happen, you can be able to get out. But in the meantime, you have to stay there and do the work that you have to do. And so that leads us to secret number 3, mind your manners. Interviewing etiquette is key. And this means smiling, shaking hands with a firm grip, saying thank you, thanking the receptionist or secretary that checks you in, and sending a thank you email or note after your interview. Because a polite interviewee is a productive employee. And I can tell you about being on a panel a few years ago where we had a candidate. He came in, he shook all of our hands and abruptly sat down. That's a no-no. You are a guest. So as a guest, let your host invite you to have a seat. That is displaying good manners. Secret number 4, mindset. You have to have a positive and winning mindset during an interview. A positive and winning mindset will let the interviewers know that you are flexible, you're dependable, you have leadership qualities, just to name a few. If you're sitting there with your arms crossed, hunched over the seat, or your head down, or giving lackluster answers, then the interviewers know that your mind is not in the game of winning and nailing that job. Our last secret is secret number 5. Show your best self. This is where you display all your positive characteristics. You let them know about your skills, your strengths, your manners, and how you'll be an asset to the organization. So this is where you definitely put your best foot forward. I make sure that I always highlight my skills and experience when I answer some of the common interview questions, along with restating those in my thank you email or note. So again, when you show your best self, you're putting your name at the forefront of the interviewer's minds. So that way, when it's time to make a decision, your name is at the top of the list. So in closing, I want to remind you that in order to nail that job, You first need to, one, look the part. You have to be professionally dressed from head to toe. So if you're not confident in how you look, then it's going to come across in how you conduct yourself during the interview. Number two, talk the part. Make sure you have done your research on the company. Ask questions of the interviewers and know your answers to common interview questions. If you are not confident in the answers that you give, then you will find yourself stumbling in your responses, and this is not good. Number three, mind your manners. Being polite is very important, and this includes smiling and eye contact and saying thank you, because this is letting the interviewers know that you're friendly, you're approachable, and that you're paying attention to what is being said during the interview. And I am from the South, and we have a saying that goes like this: good manners will take you a long way. And this is so true, because a polite interviewee is a productive employee. Number four, mindset. This is where you're showing a positive and winning attitude. And this also will show the interviewers that you are a team player, you're flexible, you're dependable, you value the organization's mission and vision, and that you also will embrace changes and comply with the company policies and rules. And so if you're not in there with a positive and winning attitude, then how can the interviewers be confident that you will do a good job? So mindset does matter. And number five, show your best self. This is where you showcase your best skills, talents, and abilities to your potential employer. You put all the things positive and good in this last part. You're showing the potential employer that you are on board with their mission and vision, that you will be an asset to the organization. So you show yourself during and after an interview to the best of your ability. And so before I close, I want to give you a bonus secret. 3 interview types. Interview type number 1 is in person. In this environment, you'll be face to face with the interviewers. So you want to make sure that you look professional and you're dressed appropriately. You want to also make sure that you talk the part, you've done your research, you mind your manners, you have that positive and upbeat mindset, and you show your best self. And in this in-person interview, you need to make sure that your body language, your posture, and your tone is correct. So make sure you practice in the mirror, your facial expressions, your body language, and listen to your tone to make sure it is pleasant and upbeat. Number 2 interview type, telephone. In the telephone interview, you of course will not be seeing your interviewers face to face. And so you want to make sure you set up your environment where it is quiet and there's no background noise or talking. You want to also put your phone on speaker. That way your hands are free where you can write notes based on the questions you ask the interviewers, and also take down the names of other people on the panel in case you have not been corresponding with them during the process. So then you can send them also a thank you email or note. And last interview environment is virtual or online. With the pandemic, this has become a more popular way of interviewing people. And so with this one, you'll still look professional, at least for the waist up, and make sure you have a quiet space where there are no distractions, there are no background noises. And you definitely want to make sure that your background is conducive to interviewing. You don't want a shelf full of beer bottles in the back or pictures of you and your friends partying. That's not a good look, and it will not make a good impression. If you have a green screen, use that and download something like an office setting or even a library. Because this, again, you're setting the scene. You're still looking professional, and you have to make sure you have that space that is conducive to the interview. Now, with all three interviews, do not be surprised if they are panel interviews consisting of 2 or more people. And do not be surprised if people will come in and out of the interview. Like with the virtual and online, there are different meeting platforms such as Zoom, Skype, WebEx, Microsoft Teams. So those platforms, when you get the invite, make sure you accept it and download that particular application. And so again, you want to be prepared regardless of the setting. And if the owner of the company or even the vice president pops in and asks you a few questions, if you are confident and competent in your interviewing skills, then different people coming in and out will not rattle you. You will still be on point and still project confidence and competence. My name is Nicolette Hemingway for NiGH Speaks, LLC, and I thank you for your time today and letting me discuss with you the 5 secrets to nail that job. Now, if this keynote really intrigued you, I invite you to join me as I do my workshop on the ABCs of interviewing. Thank you.